This is your Global Business Report. Nigeria's Bureau of Statistics has released its transport fare watch for the month of April. The trend of double-digit increases on an annual basis were recorded across all categories, with airfare up 52%, intra and intercity bus travel up 47% and 45% respectively. Motorcycle travel prices were up 54% and waterway transport higher by 16%. Joining me to discuss these prices further is the Chief Executive Officer of GIG Mobility, Enahero Ohae. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Your folks do a whole lot at GIG in terms of mobility, moving goods and people from one place to another.
So there's the GIGM and there's the GIGL. So the L is for goods, which is logistics, and the GIGM is for people, mobility.
Which is motors.
Motors, yes,
Okay.
mobility, yeah, GIGM.
So what do you make of these price increases? Are they impacting your operations, or you folks decided to raise prices as soon as the pandemic was over?
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, there's a limit to how much you can increase the price. At the end of the day, if the populace doesn't have money in their pocket, they won't move. What we make of it is what it is. It makes business a little more strenuous. You have to constantly tweak, constantly make adjustments, constantly ensure that you are looking at how to manage your costs here and there. So, I mean, it is what it is. Everybody thinks that you just get the entire cost and put it on the people. But again, disposable income is low, so you don't constantly put it on the people. Empathetically, there's a limit to which you can go. So it's affecting the business, yes, but it gives the business owners, the leaders of the business, the continued need to go back to the drawing table. So we're constantly strategizing. What do we need to do today? What are we changing tomorrow? What cost are we reducing here? And again, don't forget, you can't just let people go anyhow. So it's a lot of work for leadership, but I constantly say there's a lot of opportunity in the transportation sector if holistically everybody can look at it and manage it very well.
Your sector was one of those sectors that came up very strongly after the pandemic of 2020. As soon as there's a lot of relaxation in terms of movement across the country and all of that, folks begin to move. Then even within the restriction period, folks will have to do a lot of packaging and sending them using logistic means rather than delivering on their own. So quite a whole lot there. So the majority of the Nigerians spend a lot of income on transportation, food and transportation. What needs to be done to bring down prices?
It's a lot. I mean, the first thing is we need to understand that there's opportunity in this business, right?
And there is money.
And there is. And so government needs to regulate, right? This is a business that is free entry, especially on the mobility side, free entry, free exit. Anybody can pick up a Sienna today, put it somewhere on the road in Jibo, and then the person becomes a transport company.
Operator.
Now, at the end of the day, the government doesn't even know who is moving. There's no technology to drive how many people have gotten into Abuja today, how many people have gotten into Aba today. I mean, no, but they're not even paying tax. But this is the change. This is the dynamics. For people like us who are heavy operators, we've got terminals that you can see everywhere you go.
Corporate.
It's easy for people to then walk into any GIGM, whether it's in Abuja, whether it's in Benin, whether it's in Lagos, and say you have to pay tax. So we're paying a lot of tax, and it's really, really heavy on us. There's tax, inland revenue, federal, everything. There is emblem, there is waterways tax, there's all sorts of tax. So government really, really needs to regulate the industry to the extent that we need to know what is happening in the industry. At the same time, government needs to subsidize. You see,
subsidize your business?
Government needs to do a lot of subsidy because
you folks are making a whole lot of money already.
so everybody
you don't need subsidy.
Do you know what the dollar?
So there's subsidy on the petrol that goes into your vehicles, so we're not giving you any subsidy.
Do you know what the dollar is saying? So imagine what it means to maintain business today. The cost of running our business has gone like 3 times, 300% increase in the last 4 years, right? Because even the vehicle itself. So you come into a vehicle, and we want to give the best of vehicle. We want to give a vehicle where you can use your USB and charge your phone. You can watch the TV screen and all of that. That's what we do. Now, imagine that cost has almost doubled itself. In fact, tripled itself. A vehicle that you want to buy at 8 million in 3 years ago, today that same vehicle is 22 million. And then we want to run business successfully. So there's so much the government needs to do in this business, and we can collaborate with the government to use technology. Unfortunately, that is not happening.
What type of technology are you thinking of?
So our entire business is built on technology. So right here, I can see every vehicle that's on the road, right? I can see every vehicle. I can know the number of my clients that is inside guests that is inside every vehicle that's on the road. And so in terms of security, I can use my technology to plan. I can know where there are terrible routes, and then the guys on the tracking system can say, we just received a message from a particular captain in social state, and we dish information to everybody, and they avoid such places and they change the route. We can track. So if we collaborate with the government, then we'll be able to help the government to understand how many people are entering every state, how many people are coming out of it, and then the government can plan. Because there's no planning going on. There's nothing happening. The thing is just out there. And so we can do a lot with technology, but there's no regulation.
Are there issues of identity? Is that part of what you're talking about? Identity of your passengers? I know there's a manifest, by the way, if you're traveling. So
yeah,
somewhat, yes. So, but it's just a manifest. So, what else would you want to see done? You talk about subsidy, but again, technology and all of that, insecurity on the roads, trying to prevent vehicles or buses from being hijacked and matters of that nature. If folks could go ahead and hijack trains off the tracks, that's quite disturbing.
It's the same thing. We have to ensure that there's a lot that the government is doing. So look at this. Whenever the airlines cough, the government moves into them. I mean, yesterday I was trying to read how much money the government pumped into the airline during COVID and after the COVID.
You and I know why.
Why?
There are more buses on the roads than aircrafts. And of course, I'm not sure about your first class, if it's as comfortable as that of an airline.
Oh, of course, our first class is comfortable. You get into the bus, you can watch the TV, you can charge your phone. It's very relaxing. There's headroom. I mean, it's first class. I'm
going to charge you for advertising your buses. Yeah.
But let's look at it.
But seriously speaking, yes.
But let's look at it. Nigeria is like the size of Texas, right? So you can connect everywhere by road. And everybody moves
That's
by
in
road.
Texas.
Yeah. In Nigeria, you can connect everywhere by road. How many people are flying? Have you ever thought about it? 90% of Nigeria would use the road. And so the question is, why focus a lot more on airline when they cough, when so much can be done on the road? Yeah, people move more on road than they fly.
So you think there's not much attention is paid to road transportation as much as air transport?
Oh, of course, it's obvious. It's very obvious. And if the government can just pay a little more attention on the road itself that we're flying is even destroying the buses. So you have a high cost of maintenance. The security on the road, people like us then have to use technology to plan and planning to manage ourselves. I mean, there's so much that can be done on the road that the government is not doing. And guess what? There's so much money on the road that the government can actually make that they are losing.
Interesting. Well, what's the future of mobility with technology looks like in your industry?
It's a bright future if government is ready to. We are beginning to enjoy it, but there's more to be done, right? And so because of all we're doing with technology, we can know what's happening with our buses. We can know what's happening with our passengers. We can track our maintenance. We can do all of that. There's EV. Our sister company, Logistics, is already using electric vehicle. We are also beginning to plan to use such. So there's so much. I mean, there's a conference coming next week where we're talking about the future of mobility in Africa. And there we're bringing stakeholders. I mean, I love that idea where we're really going to talk about it because this narrative needs to start. It's nowhere.
Well, where's competition in your industry right now?
Competition is good. I mean, we are leading the industry. So, I mean, competition is healthy. It's a good thing. But because we use technology to do everything that we do, we are ahead of the pack. I mean, so, but technology is good. It's good.
I understand. How you folks, you get folks are big enough. You're planning to list on the stock exchange?
The first thing we're planning to do right now is to give people the opportunity to invest and test the waters.
How do you mean? You want to do private placement?
Yeah, well, not private. That's not the beginning. So the beginning is, this thing has to be in stages. So when you use our app, for example, there's a lifestyle feature that's inside. From the app, you can pay bills, right? From the app, you can pay for your DSTV, buy airtime and all of that. From the app, you can decide where we want to pick you on the road. But more importantly, now from the app, you can listen to news. You can get news feeds.
Arise News?
Yes, you can get news feeds. Yes, you can get all sort of news feeds from there.
I just want to be sure.
Yes,
that is Arise News.
Now, the next thing that's going to happen now is that you can invest right there. Now, when we begin to allow people to invest in our buses, invest in our terminals, right? I mean, and this is a business you can trust because you can see it. You know, there are so many investment opportunities out there or investment business out there that you can't see, but this you can see. So the first step for us is allow people to invest in our business, right? Invest in a bus, invest in a terminal that you can see and you can make your money, you know, right? And then that's number one. Number two, if we're able to establish that, then we get into using technology to tokenize, you know, the kind of businesses that we do. Then you can buy tokens and allow your tokens to grow, right? And then we can begin to talk about IPO, and then we can begin to talk about going into the stock exchange. So we're taking the first step.
You folks are looking at becoming a fintech company.
Well, at the end of the day, everything works together now.
You guys a million miles away.
Very soon you're going to have GIGP, because when you pick up our app, right, from there you can make payments for anything. And just look at it. What we're trying to do is to make people move freely and do freely. What does that mean? The world is going to a place where when you are moving, right, you should be able to do everything that you need to do. So if you're moving right now with us, and your son calls you and say, the DSTV is off, you just say, give me 5 minutes. Right there on the app, you pay. Now you're doing things freely while you're moving freely. Everything is coming together. It's just like your phone. You know, everything can happen on your phone now, right? So in our app, in our business, we want everything to happen.
Except do this presentation. Okay, think about it. If you have a solution, let me know. You got to come to the studio to do the interview.
Very soon you'll get it.
Again, where are you? In which other African countries are you going?
We're in Ghana right now, and we're going to spread very heavy. I just came in from Ghana to see the operations, and then we're going to Kenya. That's very important for us. We're looking at Gambia and Rwanda.
Why is Ghana? Why is Kenya important?
Oh, of course. I mean, if you look at the different countries in Africa that people need to invest in, I mean, you pick Kenya any day, anytime, right? So that's very important for us.
Are you in favor of the Okada ban in Lagos?
So for me, it's not about the ban or not the ban. It's about the holistic system. Now, there is advantage to it and there is disadvantage to it. Now, for short-term measure, right, for short-term solution, you know, like a knee-jerk approach, something is happening, close them down. But the effect of that is, what are you going to do with the people that are no more riding the Okada? So I think what the government needs is a bigger long-term strategy for youth, long-term strategy for transport, because no matter how you look at it, in the Nigeria of today, those guys are playing, they've got a place to play, right? Before you remove all of that from the road, those guys move faster, right? There are bikes on the road that can deliver something to you, mobility. Right? You understand? And that's mobility. Without mobility, there's no life. Without mobility, there's no evolution. Without mobility, there's no advancement. There's no speed. There's no economy. So for short-term solution, you can do it.
For example, folks is getting married on Saturday, and there's so much vehicular jam, and whether the bride or the groom is delayed.
Get on the bike and the person is there. You know, so for short-term solution, it's okay, but we need a more holistic solution. It's not just about banning the Okada. And you know how many times that has happened?
I'm trying to count.
You know, so they might be back in a few. They might be back in a few months' time.
GIG Mobility. I'm going to keep an eye on you.
I'm going to come back.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.